Hey guys, welcome back to Wednesday Night Into the Light, our bi weekly show with my good friend Franz, here to bring us some more things that he has uncovered in the past couple of weeks. We hope you all are well, and welcome back. How's it going, Franz?
Doing good. Good to be back.
Good to have you back, man. Can hear me today?
I can.
Oh,
I can.
awesome. Fantastic.
Good sound tech.
Awesome. Glad to hear it.
Yep. So, busy couple of weeks. Sick family. Lots of things going on, but I managed to endure and put together a small slideshow for you, and it continues on with everything we've been talking about. Um, Within their system, their matrix, I'll continue to be repetitive like they are. Um, we've said that we're in a magic matrix. Our language and our perception is all under a spell. Um, Trying to get this presented here. Sorry.
That's all right, man.
So, I think you may have heard me a few times throughout shows I've done. Say that you don't know what the mile is. You really don't know where up is. So basically, yeah. And I started off again having an idea of what I wanted and knew what I want to put into a show, and I was so ready to put it into the end of this, and it's going to wind up being the next show. But it all ties into everything. So Jay and I have both discussed or talked about our idea or theory of the English language being created, and which it was. Is Can you see my?
We're just looking at you.
All right. Well, I don't know why it's not coming up.
Yeah, you're not presenting.
All right. I stopped it and re-brought it up, so it should be popping up.
Yeah, it's doing something now.
All right. Here we go.
Now it's working.
All right. So I was saying that we say that the English language was created. It's a Germanic cult magic language, and there's a guy named Francis Bacon. He's called the Spear of the Shaker, or the Shaker of the Spear. They tie into the Shakers, but he's the occult leader of the Spear Shaker cult, and he was with Shakespeare. Shakespeare was used to put this English language of magic spells into our everyday use.
Oh, I get it. Spear shaker, Shakespeare.
Shakespeare.
Okay. I was like, all right, here we
And
go.
they are shakers. He's
Yeah.
literally known as the Spear Shaker. It's crazy. But yes, Shakespeare introduced, and when he first started releasing his writings and how they were so unique, he introduced 1,700 words to our everyday language right off the bat. And they all came from Shaker the Spear. But, I just wanted to throw that in there before we begin.
Some people said that he was Shakespeare. I think I've heard that before.
I think so too. They going along with the nepotism and how it's uncanny that people look a lot alike to the point where it's got to either be an unlegitimate son or a second character they played.
Yeah.
It just comes up a lot.
Yeah.
I'll click right here on this picture. So yeah, you see the mirrored image.
Yep.
But all right, so I wanted to point that out. I'm going to get into the slides now. Okay, so I'm going to point out how um, under the spell or hypnotized you are under this English language, and show you that even our days, our months, everything. Sunday. Where did Sunday get its name? Germanic peoples need that these names in their own language and gods. So the beginning of the week started with the sun. Sunday is modeled after the Latin dies solis. In Latin, sol means sun, and dies mean day. When we brought it to over to English, it eventually became naturally rough Sunday. Um,
That's why the churchgoers in modern day churches go to church on Sunday because it's all sun worship stuff.
Absolutely, and every single day. Monday likewise comes from the Old English monad dag, named after Mani, the Norse personification of the moon. The second day of the week. It has been classified as Moon's Day since Babylonian times. Tuesday. The Germanic god equated to Mars is Tyre. I don't know if I'm completely pronouncing that correctly. It's
Yeah.
in accordance with the importance of Roman culture, Dies Martis was translated by the Germanic peoples as the Day of Tyre. In English, Tyre's Day morphed into what we know as Tuesday. Um, Here's the North religion version of Tyrus, but I even went deeper because it's it's not just Germanic or the Vikings. Yeah. So if you search Tyre or Tyrus goddess, you get Melkart. Yeah.
Yeah, Tyre, that's what it's in the Bible. It's Tyre, like that.
Right, right. So Melkart was the tutelary god of the Phoenician city-state Tyre, and a major deity in the Phoenician and Punic pantheons, sorry,
Yeah.
often titled the Lord of Tyre, parentheses, Baal. He was also known as the son of Baal, or the son of El, the ruler of the universe. He was the king of the underworld and protector of the universe. He symbolized the annual cycle of vegetation and was associated with Phoenician material goddess Asitarte. Melkart was typically depicted as a bearded figure dressed only in a round hat and loincloth, reflecting his dual role as both protector of the world and ruler of the underworld. He was often shown holding an Egyptian ankh or lotus flower as a symbol of life. And his axe is a symbol of death. But from there, I looked up tutelary deity. It's a deity or spirit who is a guardian, a patron, or a protector of a particular place, geographic feature, person, lineage, nation, culture, or occupation. The etymology of tutelary expressed the concept of safety and thus of guardianship. In late Greek and Roman religion, one type of tutelary deity, the genius, functions as a personal deity or daemon. Or sounds a lot like demon.
Yeah.
So basically, what this is saying is each city or place or nations of people or the lineage of them are represented by a deity, a goddess.
Yeah, that familiar spirit. Those are demons, yeah.
Yeah, and these are not Roman or Greek um, original ideas. They're just taking it. Yeah. But so I went deeper than that. Right? This is the goddess Hecate, the Greek goddess of boundaries, witchcraft, and crossroads. Hecate was one often depicted in triple form. She continues to be an important figure in neo paganism. Her symbols include paired torches, dogs, serpents, keys, daggers, Hecate's wheel, polecat, and a red mullet.
You know what that reminds me of? Those three witches in Clash of the Titans.
Oh yeah, where they all have
They like
drawn
share an
each other.
eyeball and stuff, you know? Yeah.
That reminds me what the like the hellhound, the three-headed dog with hellhound. You know,
Yeah.
that's her magic power. She also looks like every statue we've been pointing out.
And she's totally holding the snake.
Yeah, that's not a rope. That's literally a snake.
Yeah.
So this is I think if you remember the last show, I showed you many state capitals. These ladies individually, but this is what they're
Yeah.
the representation. Hecate was a chief goddess presiding over magic and spells. She witnessed the abduction of Demeter's daughter,
Persephone.
Persephone, to the underworld, and the torch in hand assisted in the search for her. Thus, pillars called Hecatea stood at the crossroads and doorways. So Demeter comes from the story of Saturn.
Yeah.
Basically, all of these are um, newer cultural, like Sumerians, Babylonians, Sumerians, um, yeah, Latin, Roman. They all just adopted the last one, but they're all different names of Saturn. Wednesday, the name is a calque of the Latin dies Mercury, day of Mercury, reflecting the fact that the Germanic god Woden, or Odin, one and the same. They're separated in cultural beliefs, but not a lot. And during the Roman era, there was interpreted as a Germanic Mercury, as Wednesday. Woden is also a character that's directly involved with Saturn. And here's a picture of him.
Yeah. He's the one-eyed shepherd.
Yeah, he's got the hellhounds.
Right? That's why he's got the eye patch. And the Bible speaks of the one-eyed shepherd. That's the all-seeing eye. That's the also Odin symbolism. Although it looks like he has two there.
No, it is a pouch. The more I blew this up, the more blurry I got. But this one does look that way. In the clearer one too, you see his belt, and it looks a lot like the Freemason chest wear or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, Thursday. The English word Thursday is named after the Norse god of thunder, Thor. Thursday means Thor's Day in Old English.
Thursday.
What's that?
I was just saying Thursday.
Thursday. Thor is represented riding a chariot drawn by goats and wielding his hammer. In most languages with Latin origins, the day is named after the god and planet Jupiter. Again, Saturn. The story of Saturn. This is all. Saturn is the god of the sun. Sun worship. You haven't made it through the full week yet, and every single day is a depiction of sun worship.
Yeah.
So here's his goats, goat-drawn chariot.
Is that Santa Claus?
Yeah, it's an early Santa.
Yeah.
Now Friday. The name Friday comes from the Old English frigidig. I really don't know what the A and E together means backwards. I thought about maybe I should have, put it in the translate and teach me how to say it correctly. But I mean, it's frig.
I think it's almost like a I, it's almost pronounced like an eig, like a daig.
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it makes kind of like an I sound.
It's like dig. You like Dig?
Hey, you like dogs, do you?
Dig, Dig. Oh, dog. Yes, I
Oh,
like
dogs. Yes, I like dogs. Yeah. You like dogs?
Anyways, so we're talking about Frigg. Frigg is a goddess. She was married, the wife of Odin. Um, and yes, they spell her name with one G or two G's, and she's the Roman goddess, but she's Venus, and she's married to Odin. Here they tell you she's representing love and beauty in the Norse religion or mythology, but she's really here she is. This is a Frigga. So she's the goddess of Frigga. It was the name of the land where she was from. So she's the goddess of creation, not creation, fertility and war. Uh, she's really Asatart
Astarte.
and Ishtar.
That's where we get Easter from.
Absolutely.
Dude, she looks like an ant bug or something in that Ishtar one. Looks
Oh,
like
yeah.
something from the Ant movie or something. A Bug's Life. Dude.
She does, but they're all depicted with horns.
Yeah, I've been noticing a lot of rams and goats and stuff.
Okay, so I believe that a lot of the Viking mythology was kind of created to just hide this, blame them.
See, see how she has that moon on her head, the Astarte one?
This one, yep.
Okay. Now, anybody out there that uses Windows as a computer, they have a logon screen. And the logon screen is a round body. It's just like a half a circle for a body and then a head. But when you flip it upside down, it's a head with that crescent on top. So every time you log into Windows, you log into that little symbol right there, just upside down. It's nuts, dude.
It's your everyday perception.
Yeah.
You don't even know it.
Yeah, it's hidden everywhere, man.
You know, and you think you're just saying, "Oh yeah, hey buddy, it's Wednesday today. Happy Wednesday."
Yeah. Hump day. Remember that camel commercial? You see, like hump day.
Mike, what day is it? Mike. Hey.
Yeah.
Camel running around the office. Yeah, I still annoy people with that once in a while.
That was funny.
Okay, so back to our Saturday. We're winding down the week of lies, altered perception. Saturday, it's named after Saturn, the planet. Here it tells you in this narrative which the Romans named after their god Saturn. Yeah, it's true, and we just kept it good old Roman. They say it's Roman, but it's the Romans just same people from the beginning who worshipped sun god. Saturn was the god, the creator. So the days were named after the planets of Hellenistic astrology in the order: Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. It's Aries, Hermes, Zeus, Aphrodite, and Kronos. The 7-day week spread throughout the Roman Empire in late antiquity.
You can trace every single one of those names back to Lucifer.
Every single one of them.
Yep.
Absolutely. And these are names that's been coming up in Jade's videos and our shows a lot.
Yeah.
And it's older than the Roman Empire. Older than the Babylonians. Babylonians took it first. And they used the stars. These are all symbolism. Here's Mercury, like you said. It looks like a head with a half a circle on top.
Yeah.
So, and the 7-day week was not adopted in Europe. Official use until Christian period. Its origins is much more ancient since they lie in the astrological of the Babylonians. Basically, they're saying the Christian period adopted it, and it was just an idea from the Babylonians, relating to the stars. But it's all about Saturn, sun worship.
Yeah.
And you may have heard me say before that we don't even know what the mile. We don't even know what the true mile is. Okay? So the excuse me.
I was just talking about the Pythagorean theorem with my friend today. That's so weird.
Really?
Yeah, at work we were talking about Earth curvature, like what they say, and I was trying to show him how it's like a square. I forget the readout, but it was like I was trying to show him how all the Earth curvature is like every mile is like 6.66 feet below curve or something like that. I was just showing how it's all 666s. Like everything about this whole system is triple sixes. I made a big video about it. Well, not a big one. It's like 6.5 minutes, but it's all about like 666.
It is everywhere.
Yeah.
Even they'll do some math equation that equals out to 333. Or 0.666 or 0.6066.
Yeah.
But so the Pythagorean say it for me.
It's the Pythagorean.
Pythagorean. All right. So when I say it once, I'm good. Sometimes I just get it
Yeah.
myself and I can't spit it out. But either way, it's a rule. It was known to the Babylonians. It was the Babylonian mile. It was a measure of distance equal to 11.3 kilometers, or about 7 modern miles. So if they were writing, making maps or writing a journal about distance or the size of places, and we're relating it to what our brain automatically thinks a mile is, you're automatically off.
Wow, that's pretty. I didn't even know that. That's pretty interesting.
So a mile, any of various units of distance. They're not saying a mile is exactly this or that. They're saying it's any various, such as the statue mile, 5,280 feet. It's what we're taught in school. It originated from the Roman mile, which is called 1,000 paces, which means measured about 5,000 Roman feet, which isn't really 5,280, but they were really measuring it with their foot.
Taking big steps. 1, 2, 3.
So the Romans just came up with their own, but yet they still, like they were saying how the theorem comes up in curvature of the earth. It's still used in a lot of things, but it's funny you said that. So, even your months of a year, you realize that our 12 months is not the original. God didn't give us 12 months. January is named after Janus,
Janus, yeah.
The god of doors and gates.
That's the two-faced god.
Right. And February is named after Februaria, a time period when the sacrifices were made to atone for sins. March, named after Mars, the god of war. April, the Latin to open. May is named after Maya, the goddess of growth and plants. June is the Latin for the goddess of Juno. July is named after Julius Caesar. In 44 BC, and August was named after Augustus Caesar. In 8 BC, and September is Latin. Latin for 7. October, octo, Latin for 8. November, novum, Latin for 9. And December, Latin for 10. So September, October, November, December is 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, the biblical calendar, and when Enoch was written, there was only 10 months. and there was only 300 days in a year. And then like the calendar is really strange, but it's really detailed in the first book of Enoch, and it tells you like every every 11th year you have to add another like 2 months or something weird. Like there's like this whole thing you have to do, and it was a process.
Right,
Yeah.
and um, it was basically accounting for the solstices and supposedly the cycle of the moons, but reading into the Babylonians and before dealing with the days of the week, they're all um, named after the sun god. So hold on, I lost my train of thought. Oh, it they're basically adding time to the calendar. They were thinking, okay, so we wake up and say it's a new day, right? And then when that happens, the next day, that one full day went by, and then we count 7 of those as a week, right? The day represents the time, our time, because we're awake. Right? But they looked at it as they're counting the nights, not the days, because night was when they were in the dark, and Saturn God would come and bring them the sun and rebirth them every day. So they're counting how many nights they lived. It's the opposite of how we look at our day.
I think yeah, in Genesis, like when it talks about it, it says the first morning and the night was the first, or the first night and then morning was the first day. So
Right.
it
So
says it in that order as well.
right. So technically, they were considering the night was how you counted time passing.
Yeah.
And if the sun didn't come, if sun god didn't come, you were stuck in darkness forever. So there was no more time to be counted. Um, this here, Yule, Imbolc, Ostera, Beltane, Lithia, Lugnashtada,
Yeah,
Melon.
that's a
That
tongue
one
twister,
can't get.
ain't it?
This was, I believe, the Jewish's 8 months of a year. Now they were a sect of the Jewish um, interpret it, but they think they cut the 2 months out of the 10 that's in the Bible, or Enoch, right? The first book of Enoch. It says.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they pretty much just dropped the 2 so they can continue with their 8 of infinity.
88, yeah. They keep that eights going, man.
All right. So the Babylonians' measure of time. Like I was just saying, um, of the sexagesimal, also known as the base 60 or sexagenary, is a numeral system with 60 as its base. It originated in the ancient Sumerians in the 3rd millennium BC. Was passed down to the ancient Babylonians and still is in use in a modified form for measuring time, angles, and geographic coordinates. Remember a few videos ago I did the degrees of a circle and a square. That's your 60.
Yeah, and I just did boy, I forget what video it was, but I just did one. Oh, it was it was the Lucifer's Legions one where I was breaking apart the Star of Remphan. And
Right.
because it's got if you break it into 2 triangles, they're each 60 degrees. So it makes a 666, and then the 360, and then if you add it all up, it comes out to 666. Pretty nutty there.
It is pretty nutty. And then like how I was breaking it down and just adding the numbers of, and it all came out to 9. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's
regardless of how you put the upside down triangles, it's always going to be a 9 or turning into a 6.
yeah.
Okay, so it is funny you mentioned the curvature, because I want to get into that a little bit and our misperception of what it is we live on. Because as much as we don't know what a mile is or what day of the week it is, we do not know exactly what we live on. Right? So, told you don't know what north is. You don't know up from down. North seeking pole of the magnet was defined to have the north designation according to their use in early compasses because opposite poles attract. This means that as a physical magnet, the magnetic north pole of the Earth is actually on the southern hemisphere. It's not in the North Pole.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard the narrative. They're like it used to be the opposite, but then it flipped. In the
Yeah,
globe
and
narrative.
that's what I
you
mean.
know.
Yeah, our globe is tilting, and that's why you
Yeah.
see like the true magnetic is different from geographical because it's physically moving.
Yeah.
Because the Earth is on a tilt, it's going to flip completely upside down.
It's gonna mess everything up.
It's going to do it again. That's what happened. The North will be finally upright. And I'm like, okay, liars.
Yeah.
So in the authentic primary directions, we note the nautical position of a point as relative to the birth horizon and meridian. uh, so what this is saying is the Babylonians created your primary, not created, but um, they thought in the mind frame with primary directions, meaning so your circle of sight, your line of eyesight is circle of sight. You know, um, you can pretty much only see in such a circle of distance, and no matter what direction you look in, you're the center of the direction. So it's they weren't even conceptualizing the Earth spinning around the sun. The cardinal directions or cardinal points are the four main compass directions: north, east, south, and west, commonly denoted by their initials NE, S, and W. And this is all elementary. We're taught that right off. The ordinal directions, also called the intercardinal directions, are northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest. Saying that this is it. North is up, south is down, and there's no other directions. But that star stuck out to me because it looks an awful lot like the calendar here, calendar star.
Yeah.
Just had to compare those.
So you got hey, go back one.
Yep.
So you have time, space. That's your 88. You got your calendar. That's your time. And you got your compass. That's your space.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And with the calendar and the days now, walking a distance or traveling a distance is how they pretty much gave you the idea of time. It took me 3 moons to walk there.
Man, I'm glad we don't do that anymore.
I'll see you in 3 months.
Yeah, dude. Oh, man.
So I found this, and it goes along with me telling you how they're conditioning you right off. As soon as they get you away from your mother, they want you away from your mother. They want you away from your parents. They want you in the school system earlier so they can start teaching you these things, right? And then in National Geographic teaching points, they're conditioning the teachers to teach these kids.
Yeah.
Us, we have them, okay? And this is in there, literally, they're teaching kids, elementary students, the north, east, west, south, right? And they're trying to, all right, so here's the tip. Avoid saying that the sun is moving. It will probably appear to students that the sun is moving, not the earth. It will probably appear, okay? But it is not age appropriate for students to try to conceptualize the movement of the earth on its axis around the sun yet. It's not, we don't want them thinking that yet. We're building this brainwash up to that. The
Yeah.
goal here is to have students understand that east is always east. It is certain direction, and the sun always rises in the east. Right? They don't. Do you realize before the 1600s, the Earth moving wasn't even fathomed. It wasn't conceptualized. It wasn't even thought of.
Yeah.
They didn't, it was. This is fairly new. So geocentric coordinates can be used for locating astronomical objects in the solar system in 3 dimensions along a Cartesian x, y, and z axis. Forward, backwards, left, right, up, down. They are differentiated from topocentric coordinates, which use the observer's location as a reference point for bearings in altitude and azimuth. So I looked up a couple of these words here. So altitude is here. So in the middle, right, you're the observer. This is your circle of sight. All right.
Yeah.
But the Earth is also the observer. The zenith is the distance straight up to the length of your circle of sight. The azimuth is the distance of a point up in the sky at an altitude, from the altitude to, or from the object to the horizon. The point of this is you're taught to think the Earth is spinning and rotating around the sun. Right? But all calculations are used with this equation, this theorem.
Yeah.
It's called a spatial reference system, SRS, or coordinate reference system, CRS. It is a framework used to precisely measure locations on the surface of the Earth as coordinates. It is thus the application of the abstract mathematics of coordinate systems and analytic geometry to geographic space. A particular SRS specification, for example, universal traverse Mercator compromises a choice of Earth ellipsoids, horizontal datum, map projection, except in the geographic coordinate system, because that's the geographic coordinate system, the globe. Okay? The origin point and the unit of measure. Thousands of coordinate systems. There's thousands of SRS coordinate systems. They have been specified for use around the world or in specific regions and for various purposes, necessitating transformations between different spatial reference systems. Although they date to the Hellenic period, spatial reference systems are now crucial bases for the sciences and technologies of geoinformatics, including cartography, geographic information systems, surveying, remote sensing, and civil engineering. This had led to their standardization in the international specifications. Okay, so that was a mouthful, but what they're saying is your phone uses this, many different systems because it's not calculating the world spinning around the Earth, around the sun.
Yeah.
It's locating it as if it's you in your place. You're sitting on a fixed point, and you're a fixed person, and it's locating you.
Right. It's bouncing you off all the other stuff around you. All these little systems they got set up all over the place.
And each location on this habitat we call globe or Earth has to have modifications to the coordinate systems or its own coordinate systems to calculate. It says it right here in the abstract mathematics. I mean, I'm not taught to count my money in abstract ways.
Right.
It's just logic, you know.
I'm gonna teach you a new way to count your money. Give me some.
Yeah, right. 20, 40, 50, flip it over. 60.
Yeah.
$100 here for you.
One for you, one for me. Two for you, 1, 2 for me. 3 for you, 1, 2, 3 for me.
Sounds like the IRS. But So it's saying that even your phone locating you. All right, you want to look up Google Maps and go around the globe. All right, wherever you're looking, it's doing all these abstract mathematics of these coordinate systems, and it's analyzing where you are into relation to where it actually is in the analytic geometry and the geographic spaces. Meaning, it's translating reality of the physical mass we live on into this conception of you thinking it's a globe and we're spinning and rotating around the sun.
Yeah, if people thought, I don't understand, because if people are thinking like this is GPS, it's coming from a satellite, then why do you
Satellite.
lose service? Right? You wouldn't lose service if the satellite's not going to lose you because you're going down a certain road, right? It's because you can't connect to these systems that they have set up around you.
Yeah.
These little.
I'll show you at the end. I wanted to throw that in at the end, but
Oh, sorry, I blew up the
after I'm done on
spot.
that, no, don't. No, I'm gonna throw it in. I'll show you how that theory. I'll show you exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I have here is how a globe. Since you're in elementary school, this is how a globe's presented to you, and this is how it's cut for you to be able to look. This is how Google Earth is presenting it to you. And each little box, each little square is a coordinate system. Okay, that's what it's calculating. All right. So I just took two flight patterns, one from New York to England, and one from Los Angeles, California. It's a rough area. It's not exact, but these are their flight patterns. They're, they have to go way up for the curvature. This is legitimately their flight pattern from New York over to England. Okay, this too is the globe broke down for you the way you're to believe. And again, their flight pattern is showing it to you on on their globe. So here's the same globe. Okay, instead of cut the way they do, it's cut along the middle, basically the middle of the globe.
Yeah.
The shortest distance between any points is a straight line. So why are they flying however how many thousands of miles or hundreds of miles
Up and out of the way. Yeah.
out of the way? Because I mean it's logical. Okay, any straight point. Yeah, when you're driving you have to do whatever, but they're flying. These flight patterns are international flight patterns. So here, um,
It's alright.
straight line, it just makes more sense. It makes way more sense. And then I found this one. It's square and stationary Earth. Um, kind of looks crazy too, but it's definitely saying that what we live on is a stationary system. Right? And you can see the little balls here, the moon and the sun. That's what's rotating. But it's crazy as this map looks, as what we are. The straight line theory it makes a little more sense on it than the globe.
Yeah. It looks like they're trying to incorporate the globe with a flat Earth concept.
See, that is it. And well, they're trying to depict the ice walls.
Yeah, I can see that going around.
So they're trying to understand. He's trying to, yes, make a concept out of both of them, but not completely agree with um, the sun, us rotating around the sun. But that was the point of me putting this in because it does look crazy. But as crazy as it is, the straight line. So here, heliocentrism describes a model of astronomical movement in which the Earth and the other planets revolve around the sun. Heliocentrism was not widely accepted until the 16th and 17th century. In fact, a belief of heliocentrism was seen as heretical for some time by the Catholic Church, meaning it was you can't think like that. That was crazy. It's crazy thinking.
Yeah.
The way we're conditioned to only perceive what we're on was crazy to the Catholic Church. Uh, Heliocentric theory of the universe, or heliocentrism, was conceptualized during the scientific revolution described by Polish scientist Nicolaus Copernicus in 1543. So there's a key word in there. Um,
The Helios sin trick.
yep, and it's a theory. So
Yeah.
you got helio, and it being a word that's centric of helios, it's just a theory.
Yeah, that's so weird. I was just talking about all this stuff today at work, man. With this kid Scott. It's funny.
It is funny. Um,
Oh, actually, he said to tell you hi. That's right.
oh yeah, that's good. I was
Yeah,
meaning to ask you, but
yeah.
um,
I worked with him today, so it's cool.
that's cool.
What is that place?
So I showed you this in my last video when I was talking about Barbados and all the islands being named after saints.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Okay, so it was kind of a little bit of a correction here. I wanted to specify that I did not find this fortress, the citadel, or star fort, if you will. It's labeled as all three. It was not in Barbados. It was in Haiti. But Haiti is right there, and it's right in the whole old world, new world takeover coming to America. So I dug into it. I just wanted to fill you in a little bit. Here we have Henry Christophe. Um, he was like the president or the leader of Haiti. All right, so back in the day, 1492, after the invasion of Grenada, where this guy was actually born from, Christopher Columbus, aka Christopher Columbus, Helios, um, sailed and started naming all the Virgin Islands. They wiped out the Moors in Grenada, and this is one of them. He started. It was the French, and then they went to Haiti. Haiti was the first place actually that you would actually find any type of documentation of Christopher Columbus actually setting foot anywhere. But I still have a hard time believing that because the journals of his priests or pastors or whatever, they were these guys, and they would. Um, he claims to be a Haitian native, um, but everywhere you find him, he's dressed like French, right? So during the French moved into Haiti, then Spain's moved in, um, and they split the land up. And then by this false timeline, they went back to Africa and started kidnapping and for the slave trade. So then they took over Haiti and then started bringing slaves. But what they really did was just start demolishing the Haitians and making them slaves. Um, Whatever they did with this guy to get him, maybe he's already one of them, French or Spaniard, um, from the House of Stuart. You know? And this is Jean Jacques Dessalines. He was a general, and he was a freedom fighter along with Christophe, and they became really good friends. And these freedom fighters, they were very violent and malicious, brutal fighters. And then the whole story gets pretty crazy, but basically this guy and Christophe pretty much traded on each other. Um, they went back and forth with the French and the Spaniards and killing Haitians, their own people. But in both of these guys' archives, like personal diaries, they say that they hated the English, the British, the Crown that came over and started enslaving them all because they were the original inhabitants of North and Central America of Haiti. Um, so this guy betrayed um, Christophe, and then by going to with the English or the French and the Spaniards and started killing Haitians again. But then it was part of his ploy because he wanted to wipe out all the white people. Okay, became in power, and his right hand man and everything. They were it was 1804, the genocide of 1804. They were just killing anybody who came from France or Spain, including Haitians. Um, and I found that they renamed the street after him in New York City recently. I had to throw that in there. New York City comes up a lot.
Oh yeah.
That's an actual picture that's posted all over the place.
Is that a head in his hand?
Yes,
Sweet.
they beheaded a lot of people. It was a genocide. They killed a lot of people in crazy ways. I didn't want to, but so then I found this picture, and here he is being crowned. You know, that tells me he's not of Haitian. He was originally one of them. He worked for the crown. Um, their religion, they call it Damballa, and they say in their narrative that it came with all the slaves they were taken from Africa because it originated in Africa. Damballa is the variations is an important spirits of Haitian voodoo and Louisiana voodoo. Um, Basically, the picture you see, it's a serpent, a 7,000 coiled serpent. That's the creator of the earth. That connects the earth we live on through the firmament, and they have waters above. Um, there's two of them, like the white serpent, the great white serpent, originating from the city Ouida, or Oda, in modern day Benin. And they say it's tracked right down to West Africa. But again, snake symbolism
Yeah.
made me. So the priestess, she's a priestess are called mambos, a voodoo priestess. And I thought of that early 2000s song, Mambo Number 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of Jessica Zara.
Yeah.
It made me realize, like, he's not talking about being a pimp, being a ladies' man. He's talking about all the voodoo priestess he has on his side. So, but I found that interesting. So here, and I threw this in there because, again, 3 Haitian mambos in a voodoo swearing-in ceremony by the, I don't even, I'd say it's a branch, and it's KNVA, of African voodoo mambos in Harlem, New York City. Yeah, in Harlem, New York loves all these evil religions. And this is Damballa voodoo symbolism. It symbolizes their god. To me, it looks a lot like Masonry.
Yeah, that looks like yeah, because you can totally get number one, the 6-pointed star out of it. It looks like Lucifer's sigil a little bit too.
It sure does.
Oh yeah, it totally does. Going right down below. Yeah, man. What the?
And like the chakras.
Yeah. Wow.
So this is Deli's freedom fighter. This was another one of his friends after he became in power. This guy, he was a voodoo priestess, Damballa priest. They called him Zombie. So if you want to know where Zombie came from, it talks about these voodoo Damballa, their priests. And I dug this picture up.
Zombie.
It struck me. This is Zombie. Yeah, and he killed a lot of people in very brutal, disgusting ways too. And he's a freedom fighter. He's the one with the other guy there that they helped free the slaves and become an independent. They were the first one to have an Independence Day and free the slaves out of all the Americas.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, dude. Actually,
That's what it made me think of.
my daughter loved that movie back in the day, man.
Yeah, yeah, my daughter did too back in the day. But that goes along with the Hollywood, man. Making a magic,
Yeah,
conditioning you. What do you ever think this guy was just some tarot card reader? You know? But
man.
so it
Is that the
you
Grand
know,
Canyon?
that is the Grand Canyon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, all this started leading me into a new idea of thinking about perceptions and all these things I found tracing all this. Um, like a maze, you have your start and finish, and then you enter the maze. You start on one side and finish on the other. And I've been trying so hard to track and come up with evidence and proof and track it back. I realized that I might be starting not in the wrong time or going to the wrong places. I'm starting at the finish, not starting at the start. So, what I'm trying to say is, in a sense, I'm starting to think or theorize that ancient Egypt, we are ancient Egypt.
There you go. Yeah.
What we know as Egypt and ancient Egypt is a glorified, like amusement park, a museum. I'm not saying that it wasn't there, but it didn't start in Africa and go through to Egypt and then up and around and back. Okay, and I'm gonna start off here in the Grand Canyon, and this I'm gonna end shortly after this. But the next show is I wanted to bring this more into the show, but it would have been too long. So we'll go through this real quick. This is all Grand Canyon. Okay, we have Isis Temple. And this is our country. We discovered this, right? But we're naming after Egyptian gods and Babylonian gods. So we have Temple of Osiris, Horus Temple,
Yeah.
Tower of Ra,
You're on to something now, buddy.
Tower of Set,
You're preaching my language.
Temple of Apollo, Venus Temple, Temple of Jupiter, Temple of Thor, Solomon Temple, we also have Vishnu Temple, Krishna Temple, Rama Shrine, Cape Flannel, Buddha Temple, Shiva Temple, Deva Temple, Brahma Temple, and they all are UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
Yeah, dude. I'm a firm believer that Egypt is America and America's Egypt.
The ancient Egypt, we are.
That's why we be pulling all kinds of Egyptian artifacts out of the Grand Canyon.
That's right. I didn't get to put that in there, but we will be talking about them.
Yeah.
Just going through those, I mean, the list is huge. I just showed you 10, 11 different pictures.
Yeah, that was awesome, man.
And then, I don't know if anybody knows, but there's this thing that's called Great Unconformity. Great Unconformity is important for 3 reasons. It represents a long span of time, 250 to 1,200 million years of the Grand Canyon. gone. It means this. For more than 150 years, geologists have been aware of missing layers of rock from the Earth's geological record. Somewhere up to 1 billion years appear to have been erased in what's known as the Great Unconformity.
Was that the flood? Is that code for the flood?
Well, see now it's just completely missing through the whole Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
There's many, many, many years of rock and what should be at the surface just gone. And yes, a theory is it flooded, washed all the way down into the ocean. But I mean, all of our country is sandstone. All of that Grand Canyon is still sandstone. The rocks in New England that are green and gray, that's ancient sandstone.
Let me throw something out at you and you can tell me what you think. Okay? When God flooded the earth, there were waters from above and waters from below. And it is a firm belief of mine that the craters that they tell us where big asteroids hit and took out the dinosaurs, like in the Gulf of Mexico and like that, where these big craters are in like the Grand Canyon, this is where the water came up through the surface of the earth and broke in through the surface and blasted it out. See what I'm saying? And that was the water from below, because the Bible speaks of these giant fountains from below blasting out water to flood the earth like a broken drain pipe.
No, it's like the the geysers in what Yosemite, Yellowstone.
Yeah.
They're always spewing water like that.
Right. So that's where I think the Grand Canyon, I think it blew out.
But they're starting to discover that it's not just the Grand Canyon, but all over. I think some of it may be some erasure of the truth of what you just said. That they don't want you to think God is real.
Right.
That if you do start questioning things, maybe you come up with a conspiracy theory like, where's a million years of rock missing? They must have done it.
Yeah.
So that brings me there. I wanted to end it there because if I continued to go any further, it would have been another hour and a half. So everywhere I wanted to point out will be in the next show, but it will be along the theory of where Egypt, and people didn't start in Africa; they started here.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I got a video coming up pretty soon, which will be of Moses's last walk to see the Promised Land, and it was through America. So we'll be walking through the Bible and through that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, your next show sounds pretty awesome. I definitely, have studied quite a bit of that stuff. So.
I told you I'd step in or go back to the whole internet thing we were talking about, or
the GPS thing, yeah.
Sorry, it took me a second. Let it load up here.
Yeah.
So you think satellites? There's satellites, right? And we're connected to James. We can talk to him through satellite connections and satellite internet, right?
Yeah.
And you think the ocean's huge, and it's so huge and curved that we have to have those crazy flight patterns. You realize that there is no internet in the sky.
No. Satellites are
It's all cables.
Yeah, there's no satellites. It's all a lie, man. Everything's a lie.
It is. I mean, I don't know why it's not loaded now. All right, here we go. So here's one. The picture of one. Okay, everything's now. I wanted to point this out. It's going to be slow.
Yeah, that's how it always works, man. That's because your satellite internet isn't going fast
So there's
enough.
your yeah, it's because there must be interferences.
Yeah,
The global network of underwater cables forms a large part of the internet's backbone, carrying the majority of data around the world, eventually linking up networks that power cell towers and Wi-Fi connections. Subsea cables connect New York to London and Australia to Los Angeles. That was November 2nd of 2022.
yeah. There's your satellites.
This is an actual map of where the cables go. Makes you think of how big is the ocean really?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's got to be pretty good size, but obviously they're
I think
lying. You know.
yeah. I think it's a lot smaller than they tell us, but
Oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah. Especially since they got it going around a globe, and we know that it just sits in a circle, like a bowl. So it's like the distances, they stretch them out so far.
right. So that's the whole misconception of what we think of as a mile. If it's really like 7 or 8 miles, we're traveling a lot further of a distance in our mind than we actually are.
Yeah.
So that was basically what I wanted. I wanted to throw that in the end of the show, but then you brought it up because yes, we're all connected by cables in the water
Yeah.
and power outages like in Puerto Rico had nothing to do with the underwater cable being severed for some reason. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna end it there. We'll pick up in a couple weeks.
Yes,
Um,
sir, dude.
thank you all.
That was a great show, Franz. I really enjoyed this one. And the last one, even though you couldn't hear me.
Uh, yeah, well, I just figured I'm gonna go for it. I got a thumbs up. So, again, thank you for everybody who tunes in, makes it through the whole spiel. Um, I appreciate you. God bless all of you. Stay vigilant. Until next time.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. We love you. All right. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Good chat. Good show. And tune in 2 weeks when Franz comes back and we dive into America being ancient Egypt. Until then, God bless and take care.